Hey guys, welcome to the Average Joe Cooking Show. Today we're going to be doing a nice little middle of the week meal. Pretty simple to prepare, not too much involved. So stick around, we're going to have some fun. Welcome to the Average Joe Cooking Show. I'm your host as always, Stu, and today we are going to be doing a middle of the week meal. Pork chops, actually breaded pork chops, along with a little something that I like to call potato pancakes. It's an old family tradition that's been handed down from my grandmother to my mother to me, and I just figured I'd share it with you guys. Really good, very simple, so let's get into it, shall we? What we're going to need here is you're going to need two different frying pans. One's going to be for cooking your pork chops. The other one is going to be for making your potato pancakes. You're also going to need a large baking sheet with a raised platform. I'm just using like a cookie sheet or a baking sheet that you use to dry your cookies or cool them down with. And that's going to be for our pork chops, because what we're going to be doing is just kind of searing them in the pan, and we're going to finish them off in the oven. We've got the oven set at 350 degrees. And once they've been seared, they're going to go in there for about 30 minutes. So let's get into the prep work and I'll show you how that's done. And while they're in the oven, we'll get busy on the potato pancakes. And what we've got here is we've got some nice boneless pork loin chops. Courtesy of our friends at Winegar's, as always, we'd like to thank them for supplying us with our food. Really good deal. And what we've got here is we've got a three-part system going on. Now, when you're frying stuff, the skin usually helps to keep the breading or the coating adhered to it. But of course, if it doesn't have any skin on it, you're gonna have trouble making things stick. So we've got a flour. We're gonna dredge it in the flour first. We're gonna dip it in an egg wash, then dip it in breadcrumbs, and then pan fry it in some butter. So let's go ahead and get the butter going. We're going to need about 1/3 of a stick of butter. Let's get that melting away. Put that on about medium, just a little bit above medium heat. And crack my eggs. That out of the way. Fork. Now, you can get different types of breadcrumbs. They're available at the store. You can make your own. I generally like to make my own because I always have like peels of bread left over, or an extra hot dog bun or a hamburger bun from a barbecue or something. I just dry them out on a rack overnight, and then throw them in the food processor for a few minutes, or a few seconds anyway, and you get some nice breadcrumbs. But they do have seasoned breadcrumbs available at the store. A little bit of basil or oregano, and you got some Italian style breadcrumbs. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder to the breadcrumb mixture. And mix that up in there. Gives it a nice little taste. Now, before I start coating these pork chops, I'm going to put a little bit of salt and pepper on them, because it's always good to season the food just a little bit before you go ahead and cook it. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. How's that butter coming? We still got plenty of time. The only reason I have to keep checking, because when you're frying with butter, it has a low smoke point, and it'll start to scorch if you don't keep your eye on it. Just a little bit more salt. A little bit more pepper. that good. Okay. Now you can use a fork to help with the dredging process, or you can use your hand. Just remember to keep one hand for wet, one hand for dry, and that'll help keep from making too much of a mess. And I set it up just like here, like an assembly line, so it's going to go right into my pan. Get the butter going here, and give that about a minute, and that'll be good to go. So while that's doing that, I'll go ahead and I'll dredge this in the flour. And get it around the sides, flip it over, shake off any of the excess. I'm just going to dip it in the egg wash, get it on the sides, there we go. Lay it in our breadcrumbs and give it a good shake. Flip it over, and of course I'm breaking the cardinal rule. You obviously see now I've got wet and dry, and I'm making a mess. So let's wipe that off. Get rid of that. Okay, that's almost ready to go. I'll let that hang out in the breadcrumbs for a minute while I do one more. In a pan that size, you don't want to overcrowd it, so about 2 pork chops at a time should be just fine. If you do more than 2 or 3 at a time, you're going to drop that temperature down and they won't brown up as nice. And I'm going to use my famous line by saying, don't walk away, keep your eye on it, because when you cook with butter, it's very, very easy to burn, especially with breaded stuff, so we want to make sure we're keeping an eye on it. You want it to have a golden brown color, about the consistency of a grilled cheese sandwich. All right. And we are ready to go. That's just nice and melted. It's not to the point where it's scorching, so we're going to go ahead and add our pork chops. The excess. We're just going to, like I said, we're just going to get that to the point where they're golden brown. They don't have to be cooked all the way through, because that's what the oven's going to do for us. While they're cooking, I'm going to go ahead and take care of these other 2. Think of it kind of like a homemade shake and bake. There we go. Oh, that smells good already. All right. Okay, now we can just let that hang out until they're ready to flip, and they'll be ready to flip here real soon. So let's get this out of the way. I'm gonna rinse off my mitts real quick, and then we should be ready to flip them. Here. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice golden brown color. Not too burnt. We're trying not to burn things this episode. We can go ahead and get some of this extra stuff out of the way. Here. There we go. Move it around. Keep your eye on it for a second. It's a very simple middle of the week meal, just because it doesn't take too long to prepare. About 30 minutes is what you're going to spend in the kitchen, and that includes the prep work. While that's finishing up in the oven, you're going to be working on potato pancakes and frying them up. So it's actually, like I said, a really quick meal. You add a little side salad to it, perfect. So let's check on this guy real quick. There we go. Move that around. There we go. Take care of our breadcrumbs. Now when these come out of the oven, you're going to want to let them sit for about 5 minutes so they'll rest and they'll redistribute all the juices that are inside. If you cut them open too quickly, they'll dry out. It won't taste very good, but if you let them sit for a few minutes, kind of rest, get those juices going again, they'll be perfect. There we go. All right. Move our pan over here to the sink. Turn that burner off. Voila! In the oven we go. Timer. 30 minutes. All right. Moving over here, we have potato pancakes. It's a very, very simple recipe. I learned it from my mom. She learned it from my grandmother. They grew up in Long Island, New York, and there's a lot of, well, I wouldn't say there's a big Jewish community there. And this is actually kind of a Jewish staple. Potato pancakes, potato latkes are what they call them. And what you're gonna need is you're gonna need 1 medium yellow onion. You're gonna need 6 medium russet potatoes. I've already gone ahead and peeled these, and I've been soaking them in some nice cold water to keep them from turning yellow. If you've ever dealt with potatoes before, like making hash browns or anything, you'll understand when I talk about yellowing is that when the oxygen hits that starch, they start to turn like a pink or a yellow or even a gray. So there's a couple ways you can combat that. Number one, by letting them soak in water, keeps them nice and fresh and it keeps them from turning. Another thing you can do is you can put a little acid on them, a little bit of white vinegar. Once they've been shredded, you can rinse a little bit of the starch off, you can dry them out. Or you can do what I'm going to do, and that's just puree up the onion first. And that way the acid from the onion helps keep the potatoes from turning. So let's go ahead and stick that in. Oh, that's too small, too big. So let's try that. So we're gonna make some noise here. One more. Alright, now get rid of the skins that didn't make it all the way. And we've got some nice, if I can get this lid off, I'll show you. There we go. Nice potato or onion mash there. So now we're going to go ahead and add our potatoes. Go ahead and slice these up real quick. Okay. All right. Of course, there's chunks of tomato or potato that didn't make it. We'll go ahead and just throw those away along with the rest of this onion. There we go. We've got our mixture. So I'm going to bring this over here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. There. Now, before I get any farther, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get my pan going so it's nice and hot for when these potatoes are mixed up. Got a nice large skillet here. And today I'm trying something different. I've been playing around with the idea of adding sesame oil instead of regular cooking oil, just because I like that nuttier flavor that sesame oil has. You can pick this up in the grocery store. It's usually found in the Asian food department. So it's got a really, really good aroma to it. We're going to use about, I'd say maybe a quarter of a cup. Just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. So while that's coming up to heat, let's go ahead and mix up our potato mixture here. Now to this, we're going to add 3 eggs. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of black pepper. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, you'll like it. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. And 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. Now, we've talked about this before. God gave us these really great mixing devices, and they're called hands for a reason. They mix really good. So just get your hand in there, mix it all up. Your hand's going to have to kind of stay a little dirty because you're going to use it to form your potato pancakes. And if you're afraid of oil, you can use a spoon, but if you know what you're doing around hot oil, it's relatively easier to just use your hands. So we're going to put that over here. I'm going to wash the excess off real quick. Move that out of the way. All right. I'm going to bring that up just a little bit above medium. I'm just going to take a nice little dollop, like so. About 3 at a time. That's going to be the best way to do it. A little bit more on that one. There we go. And we're going to let that fry for about 4 minutes on each side. So stick around, and we'll check them in a couple minutes. Okay, it's been a couple minutes now. We're going to check them. We've already flipped them once. Just going to put them on a couple paper towels there on the plate. Just check to see how it looks. Oh, nice and golden brown. Let's get the next batch going. go. Drop that heat just a little. Rinse off my paw. Same thing, just keep going until the bowl's empty. All right, we're just about done with our potato pancakes. Now, something I neglected to mention when we were cooking is that as you're cooking up these potato pancakes, you might need to add a little bit more sesame oil as needed per pancake. I've actually used probably 2/3 of this bottle. So, kind of give you an idea with the ingredients I told you how much you're going to need to use. So, just a couple more minutes and we should be good to go. Yeah. All right. Take that off the heat. Now, another quick tip for you. When you're using stainless steel cookware and you have stuff sticking to the bottom of it, instead of letting it cool and then scrubbing it like crazy, there's a quick and easy way to get that stuff off the bottom of your pan. Take it immediately right over, hit it with some cold water. And that will, what they call, deglaze the pan, and you just clean it all up. No muss, no fuss. Now, when you're cooking and it starts creating all that brown bits in the bottom and you add some broth to it, that's how you make sauces. Chefs and restaurants and stuff like that, that's what they mean by deglazing a pan or trying to reconstitute some of that yummy brownness from their food by making sauce out of it. Anyway, we've got about 7 more minutes and our pork chops will be done. So let's go ahead and take a short break. I'm going to make a quick side salad and we'll see you back here in a minute. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and slice into this guy real quick. Oh yeah. There we go. Moist and tender all the way through. Let's go ahead and serve this up. Boys, come in here.
Coming.
Get over here. It's dinner time at the Stewart household.
Thank you, Father.
You're welcome. Just take whatever you want. Anyway, like I said, it's an easy, simple midweek meal. Enjoy it. I hope you try it out. I'd like you to go to our Facebook page, Average Joe Cooking Show, and like us. And then you can leave a comment about the show, give us any ideas. You can check out some of the tips we got going on there. Until then, we thank you for being part of our audience. We again thank Weinigers for sponsoring us and giving us this yummy food. And we wish all of you happy eating. Good night.